In this video, I will be reviewing the Cyclops Tornado OSD from foxtechfpv.com. It's an Osd and Autopilot system that's designed for fixed-wing aircraft. When purchased, you receive the main controller, a GPS receiver, a current sensor, and menu navigation buttons, as well as all the necessary plugs and wires. This OSD features a return-to-home function and waypoint navigation. It also has an airspeed sensor. This must be connected to a tube that runs outside the aircraft and faces into the wind. I installed the system on my Skywalker for testing. Before the first flight, all you have to do is calibrate the gyros and the accelerometers, the airspeed sensor and the current sensor, and center all of the servo signals. This is all made very easy with the built-in menu. The buttons make it very easy to navigate around and adjust all the parameters. Once in the air, everything seemed to work very well. There are 3 different OSD layouts to choose from. My biggest complaint with the OSD portion is that the speed and distance are in metric. It would be nice to be able to change that to imperial, but this is not possible. Maybe that will change with future firmware updates. Another complaint of mine is that it didn't come with any tubing to properly install the airspeed sensor. I had to scrounge up some old rubber tubing I had laying around. On the plus side, the GPS finds satellites very quickly and everything else works very well. Now it's time to try out the autopilot. The Tornado stores 10 waypoints that you set by entering the compass heading and the altitude. There is no graphic user interface for setting them on a Google Earth type map like some OSDs can do. I programmed a simple mission consisting of 1 waypoint. I figured the plane would fly out to that waypoint and then turn back to the home position. I took off, gained some altitude, and then turned on the autopilot. The plane quickly started turning towards the first waypoint. Once it got there, it just kept on going in a straight line. I guess the home waypoint at the end of the waypoint menu is just for configuring the circling height and radius for the return to home function. It's not a final waypoint for autopilot missions. This is not a big problem though, because it's easy to set the end waypoint really close to the home location, and thus bring the plane back. Or you can just switch to return to home mode after reaching your final waypoint. Then I landed and made a 2 waypoint mission. On the bottom of the screen you can see what waypoint the plane is heading towards, and the distance from reaching the target. After reaching waypoint A, it quickly turned toward waypoint B. After it got there, it went back to waypoint A. This shows it will automatically repeat the mission once finished instead of returning home, unless you manually flip the switch into return to home mode. For planning missions, using the line measure tool on Google Earth is very helpful. You can determine the distance and heading to certain spots and then manually input them into the OSD as waypoints. I planned out this mission with 6 waypoints, the furthest of which is 1.8 miles away. After programming all the waypoints into the system, I took off, climbed a little, and flipped it into autopilot mode. One thing I noticed was that the plane did a very good job at maintaining its programmed altitude. Most of the time it stayed within 5 meters. The rest of the flight went really smoothly. Upon approaching the final waypoint, I flipped it into return to home mode, and as you can see, it started to circle above. Then I switched it into manual mode and went in for a landing. To get these shots you see here, I put the plane in return to home mode and let it circle around me, then tracked it with a camera. This autopilot is very simple to use and it works as intended. I look forward to having more fun with it in the future. Here's a list of pros and cons about the system. Considering the positives and the negatives, I would highly recommend this system to anyone wanting a simple Osd and autopilot system. It makes FPV much safer and more enjoyable. See the link in the description for more info on this product. Thanks for watching, bye.